Derek redirected his focus back to Stephanie. You've seen her boarding pass. She's precisely where she ought to be. So why are we still engaged in this discussion? Stephanie shifted her weight awkwardly, opening her mouth to reply, but Derek raised a hand. It was time to deliver a statement, one she wouldn't forget. Derek took a purposeful step forward, his tall figure towering over the evidently uncomfortable Stephanie. His voice, calm yet authoritative, cut through the murmurs of the cabin. You've made an assumption about my mother, he commenced, his words exact and measured. And that assumption has resulted in her being humiliated in front of an entire cabin of passengers. The real question is why. Stephanie's lips moved, but no words emerged. Passengers nearby had ceased pretending not to listen and were now openly observing the confrontation. Derek turned slightly, addressing the whole cabin as much as Stephanie. This woman, he gestured toward Clara, has dedicated her life to advocating for people to be treated with fairness and dignity. She marched alongside the prominent leaders of the civil rights movement. She rose when others remained silent, and she devoted decades of her life as an educator, instructing future generations to improve. And now, on what was meant to be a peaceful journey, she's being questioned about whether she deserves a seat that rightfully belongs to her. The murmurs intensified, some passengers gasping audibly. Derek wasn't done. Let me make one thing perfectly clear, he proceeded, his tone more incisive now as he locked eyes with Stephanie. This is Clara Reynolds, a celebrated activist, a recipient of national accolades, and one of the reasons this country has progressed even a little closer to equality. Stephanie's face drained of color as her mouth opened and closed, unable to produce a response. The second flight attendant, sensing the gravity of the moment, approached cautiously but said nothing. Derek then leaned closer to Stephanie, his voice lowering just enough to enhance the word's impact. And in case you're curious about who I am, he remarked, his voice calm and steady, I'm Judge Derek Reynolds, a federal judge, the same individual who has overseen some of the most notable discrimination cases in this country. I'm here as her son today, but if this behavior persists, I'll be here in a different role tomorrow. The cabin descended into stunned silence. Passengers exchanged wide-eyed looks, and someone at the back of first class started to clap. The sound rapidly spread until the whole section participated. Stephanie remained frozen, her previous arrogance now substituted by evident shame. Her eyes scanned the cabin as if looking for an exit, but there was none. Eventually she stammered, I'm truly sorry. I didn't intend to offend anyone. Derek inclined his head slightly, his expression resolute. This isn't about intent. It's regarding impact. Your actions humiliated and disrespected my mother in front of an entire cabin. An apology is a beginning, but what will you, and this airline, do to guarantee this doesn't occur again? The second flight attendant, Maria, stepped forward, her voice gentle but urgent. Judge Reynolds, Miss Reynolds, on behalf of the crew, I sincerely apologize for what transpired. We'll be reporting this incident to our supervisor immediately, and I'll personally ensure this doesn't go unaddressed. Clara, who had remained silent until now, reached out and placed her hand softly on Derek's arm. Her calm voice conveyed a quiet strength. Derek, let it go. I've encountered worse in my life, and I've realized that the optimal way to educate people is through forgiveness. Derek hesitated, his jaw tightening. Forgiveness doesn't imply overlooking accountability, Mom. Clara smiled gently. I understand, but holding on to resentment doesn't benefit us either. Let's ensure this is a lesson they won't forget. Maria nodded swiftly. Will be, I assure you. Please inform us if there's anything we can do to enhance your flight experience. Passengers surrounding them echoed their voices, a blend of support and admiration. Miss Reynolds, you're an inspiration, one man declared, clapping again. Another added, it's due to individuals like you that change is happening. Stephanie, still noticeably shaken, turned to Clara. I genuinely am sorry, Miss Reynolds. I'll make sure to contemplate what occurred here today. Clara, ever gracious, nodded. See that you do. Respect isn't merely about knowing someone's name or status. It's about treating everyone with kindness, irrespective of who they are. Derek sighed, his shoulders loosening slightly as he observed his mother's poise transform the situation into a teachable one. As they settled back into their seats, Maria returned with glasses of sparkling water and a note that read, "Thank you for your grace. We'll do better." Clara smiled, her prior discomfort diminishing. But Derek couldn't help but wonder, would the airline genuinely learn from this? Or was this merely another empty apology? Clara leaned back in her seat, finally sipping the glass of water she had been denied earlier. As the plane soared over the Atlantic, she looked at her son and smiled. "The fight never ends," she said. "But moments like this remind me why it's always worthwhile." Have you ever witnessed or experienced a situation like this? Share your story in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more uplifting tales of justice, resilience, and change.